Okay, socialite, so I have quite a few new products. Some of these you guys have seen me use already, but maybe once. So let's test them out, okay? Let's switch up some things and do some new combos. So Hourglass new foundation, which is their Illusion foundation. I do have 2 shades. I explained that in the full review that just went up. So click on that link if you want to see the full rundown of this foundation. But I have 22 and 20 mixed together. They make my best shade. I'm not going to moisturize underneath because there are a lot of moisturizing and hydrating properties in here, so there's no need for that. But when I wore it about 4 hours later, I noticed quite a bit of shine in the T-zone area, but it wasn't like OD. So because of that, let's go in with the e.l.f. Power, no, I'll take that back. We're not going to use this. So let's go in with the Sephora Smooth Blur Primer. I want to use a little bit more Sephora Collection products this month because the sale is coming up at the end of the month. And we want this to be top of mind and fresh on the brain, okay? 30% off for everybody with Sephora Collection products. So if we can get the deal on these, let's do it. When it comes out, it looks a little bit gritty. So I like to sort of smooth it out on the back of my hand or on something before I apply it to the face. I'm only going to use this in the T-zone area. And I do have pores in the T-zone, so it really is perfect for T-zone on my skin anyway. Let's see if we get longer wear with this Hourglass foundation. So I'm gonna mix the 2 shades. That's what the 2 shades mixed together looks like. Now this is the new Morphe M242 brush that came in that Morphe set. I only used this particular brush once, so I kind of want to see. I've already washed them. Okay, already feels different on the skin. So I had to wash these. They were kind of stiff, and when I washed them, I kind of like tried to bend them a little bit. And I already like the way it's sort of contouring to my skin a little better. And it feels a little bit softer now that I've washed it. This is a luminous formula. It's not going to be like a super matte formula. It leaves a bit of a healthy looking glow on the skin. So did you guys see the Oscars last night? I honestly never watched the Oscars. I don't think I've ever watched them. And have I? I think I saw it that year that Halle Berry won for, was it Monsters Ball or something? That lets you guys know how many years ago that was. But I was watching a movie yesterday and my grandma called and was like, turn on the Oscars, look at the dresses. Since my wedding is next month, me and my family, we've been like all over like dresses and how they fit. And Selena Gomez, I thought she looked really good in her dress. I love Selena Gomez, by the way. She has a show with some of my favorite actors called Only Murders in the Building. I think that's what it's called. 3 seasons. First 2 seasons were pretty good. 3rd season was kind of like, meh. So I don't know if they're gonna bring it back. 3rd season was a little boring to me, but first 2 were like really, really good. It was interesting to see the beautiful gowns last night. That's really what I was there for. I couldn't tell you who won what. And I don't think I saw any of the movies that were even up for awards. Medium coverage foundation, you can still definitely see pigmentation through it. Did y'all know that Estee Lauder has a new concealer? It's Double Wear Concealer. I thought Double Wear already had a concealer. Maybe I was mistaken, but this is one that I recommend you go in store if you can. I picked it up at Ulta, by the way, but I do recommend you go in store to match for this because it was one of those that didn't have like a lighter to darker or a darker to lighter progression. So as you move along, 4 may be darker than 5, then you move on to 6, and then move on to 7, which may be lighter than 6, you know. One of those type of formulas. So I have the shade 5W, and I'm glad I tested 5W because I was looking at some of the other shades and then something said let me test this one, which ended up being like not in the progression, if you get what I mean. So I hadn't read up on this. Ooh, it's full coverage though. I don't know what the claims are, but I can see that right off the bat. They do have some neutral and warm shades, which I appreciated. It wasn't like all too warm or anything like that, but we already know Estee Lauder doesn't come to play when it comes to shade ranges. They usually get it right. It feels really, really soft. It's a doe foot applicator that's sort of wide, which I love, and it's ultra soft, softer than the average applicator for sure. Really, really creamy. I'm gonna take my Amicole concealer brush, which I'm really enjoying lately, to blend this out. So leading up to the Oscars, I watch a lot of black and white movies, y'all. I probably watch equal black and white movies than that I do with like regular, like up-to-date movies. And for the Oscars on Hulu, they've been having this 31 days of Oscar thing going on with Hulu classic movies, like the black and white movies. So the movies that they've been playing are like Oscar winning movies from like, I want to say like the 40s, 50s, and 60s or something like that. Or maybe, I think 40s, 50s, and 60s, or 50s, 60s, and 70s. Y'all, I saw a movie last night. I had to keep reminding myself that it was just a movie. And guess what the name was? Gaslight. Guess what it was about? Gaslighting. A man gaslighting a woman. I mean, he got on my last nerves. He tried to make her think she was crazy. And one of the characters, which she didn't play the main character, but she did have a substantial role in the movie, was Angela Lansbury, which is Murder, She Wrote, the main character of Murder, She Wrote. It was her first film. She was 18 years old in the movie. She looked so young. But it was a pretty good movie, y'all. But he was like gaslighting his new bride, making her think she was crazy. But it ended, like the movie ended really good. So really smooth. It looks like on the matte side, but it also feels really comfortable and weightless. I'm gonna go over top with the butt of my Sephora Collection sponge, which is one of my favorite makeup sponges. I actually like this particular Sephora Collection one at the slant, because Sephora Collection has a lot of different sponges, but I really like this particular one actually better than the Beauty Blender brand. Okay, I'm gonna use my Sculpt tape just because it's right here. It's the closest thing to me, but it blends out really well though. BK Beauty 115 brush. I also saw another movie which was so crazy, y'all. It was called Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, with Elizabeth Taylor was the star in the show, and her husband, Burton, which was like her real life husband, that also played her husband in the movie. And that was crazy too. So these are like some back in the day award-winning movies, and when I watched them I could definitely see why. Like they seemed a little bit ahead of their time. So back in with the foundation brush from Morphe, just to soften that line with what's left over from the foundation. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of that foundation cocktail, the shade cocktail, just a little bit, because I need that to be a little bit softer than what it is. And honestly, it's doing that because I apply too much of the contour. Lately, I've been applying too much of my products, period. I've noticed, like, why have I been putting so much? But so mix that up, and then right in between the two, just to soften that up so we can have a seamless transition between our highlight and contour. See how much softer and smoother that is rather than from light to dark. And this foundation formula is really on the lighter side, so I don't have to worry about it being too cakey. Sometimes when I go back in with foundation, if I need to for a step like this, the foundation is like a little bit too heavy, and you could tell, maybe not on camera, but in real life, I can tell that it looks a little heavy there. About Face powders, which I'm loving right now, I have the shade Veil, which is the lighter shade. I make it smooth on the puff, because however it goes on the puff is how it's going to go on your face, so you want it to be nice and even. I'm gonna take another About Face powder. This one's in the shade Partition, which is more so my skin tone. Now this is not necessary. If you have a translucent shade, you could definitely use that for all over. In fact, next time I do my makeup, I'll try just using translucent for all over, but this is mainly because I just wanted to see how it looked, and I do like how it looked, but don't think you need to buy like 2 powders. So put a little bit, and then I'm gonna set this everywhere else that I didn't set with the translucent powder. I brush my brows up with the Ariell brow glue. My Merit brow pencil. This is my favorite brow pencil at the moment, but to be 100% honest, the way I've gone through, and then I just twisted it up too, and there's only that much left of it. You don't get very much product in here. It runs out so quick. I've gone through like 4 of these already, which to me is insane. If I would have used like my Sephora collection brow pencil, which I love those micro pencils, they last me, I only need like 2 a year, maybe 3, but it's definitely my favorite. The way it goes over brow gel. Ooh, I didn't mean to fill in the head of the brow. I'm not gonna fill in the head of brow here because I want to show you guys something that just came in. The way this pencil goes over brow gel and any product period just glides on like a dream, but still remaining on the matte side, which is what you want for like a brow pencil. I don't like a brow product that leaves like a shiny finish, you know? Helps the brow to be long lasting throughout sweat and everything. So there is a Black owned company called $1 Billion Brows, and they sent me over a few products, one of them being this microblade effect brow pen. And similar to the Mighty Fine brow pen from Benefit, it has like the 3 tips on it. But looking at it, it doesn't look like the tips are etched out as perfect as the Benefit one. But you can still clearly see the 3 points on top of it. This is in the shade Taupe, which to me is pretty deep for taupe. Like, look, that's taupe. So their taupe is given dark brown, you know? Ooh, that's too dark. It's too dark, first of all. Taupe, is this taupe? Yeah, it's taupe. Their taupe is really dark. So this is way too dark for me. But I wanted to show you guys because when I hauled it, I swatched it on my hand. And I washed my hand, I know, at least like 3 or 4 times, and it wouldn't come off, it wouldn't budge. So if the hair-like strokes stay all day, that's what would make it different from the Benefit Mighty Brow Pen, which after having it on a couple hours, just sort of blends in with your other brow products and just looks like a powder brow. We'll see, even though I blended it, I could still see a little bit of the strokes. So we'll see how it works out, and I'll keep you guys posted. But let me go ahead and carve out my brows with my Sephora Best Skin Ever concealer in the shade 35. Okay, y'all, so I have 2 new eyeshadow palettes to play in. Sigma Beauty sent over a really nice package. One of the items was this eyeshadow palette, the Warm Neutrals palette. And it has a dual-sided brush, first of all, which is a flat shader brush and a blending brush, which are really the only 2 brushes you need to do eyeshadow. So this was genius. These are the shades that's in there. So let me swatch. Oh, look at this one. So I'm going to swatch a few of them and let's see. Really buttery. This is like a gunmetal shade. Let's try this one. That one's nice too. And then let's try 2 of the mattes. Oh, this one feels like velvet. Look at the swatch. How creamy and even it is. So their mattes feel just as good as their shimmers. So that's like a neutral shade, kind of blends in with my skin a little bit, but they swatch really nice. And then I picked up the new Natasha Denona Bloom palette, and online those colors just look so nice. It looked like a palette that I could use a lot, you know, not just like fun colors, but colors that I would use often. But online it looked a lot deeper than what it looks like in person. I'll take this one. That's pretty. It takes a shift. Let's try this one. And this is my first Natasha palette, by the way. I've never tried any eyeshadows from her. The only product I've ever tried from Natasha Denona is the concealer, which I do really like. Nice and even on the matte. Let me get a little bit more. I felt like I didn't do it evenly. Okay, so the mattes do feel just as good as the shimmers, at least the matte that I tried, just like that Sigma palette. We do have quite a few shades that look similar in the palette for sure. So let's go ahead and work from the Natasha palette this time, and on the next video we'll use the Sigma palette, my Sephora collection number 27 blending brush, Clover. This one looks like a matte wine color. And then I'm going to take my Game Beauty EO6 blending brush because it's a little bit more fluffy and softer. That gives me, I can diffuse color a little bit better with this. And I'm going to go in with this shade Floss, and just to soften the edges. Now this brush doesn't really have a name on it. I've been having it for a long time, but I'm going to go in with Lush. Flip the brush to the other side and use Florence. Back in with my 27 brush, I'm going to take the deepest shade from the palette, which is Bark, and I'm just going to put it just like in the outer third of the eye, just to kind of deepen it a little bit. The two shades that I put on the lid are really similar. There's a little bit of a difference. And now that I'm looking at it, a lot of these shades are super similar. I would like just a little bit more contrast where I feel like I'm getting a completely different shade, but then the color story still goes together. I'm gonna take my Sephora collection 12-hour pencil. This one's in the shade Aloha, which is like a reddish color. I felt like it would go nice because of the reddish tones that we have in our eyeshadow look. Pkwy Beauty 210 brush. I'm gonna take the same brush with Clover, smudge this out just a little bit, keeping it sort of close to the waterline. This is my Charlotte Tilbury Love palette, and I thought about this palette too, because I know it has some of those wine shades in there. So like a shade like Clover, and then the deep burgundy shade, and maybe one of the browns, even though this one has some deeper ones. This is my Pkwy Cosmetic Artist palette, which is a very affordable palette, but the quality of this one is pretty good too. Definitely not as good as Natasha, let's not get it twisted, but I just wanted to show you guys how similar the color story is. So, and I think I even have maybe one or two more that's similar. Difference is the Natasha palette is like a creamier, more high quality formula, but I can get the same look with the other ones that I have. Socialite Mink Lash in the style Nightlife. Harmless Beauty mascara. I'm gonna take my Giorgio Armani bronzer. This one's in the shade 120, which is the deepest shade. My A3.2 brush from Makeup by Ariell. This is the Armani bronzer that's a little bit lighter in the shade 110. And I'm gonna bring this a little bit further down the cheek, because I have these wine colors on the eye. I don't wanna go crazy with blush. I could, but Patrick Ta nose brush. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This one's in the shade 2 Medium. Nikki LaRose N14 brush. I changed my mind. I do want a little bit more color on the cheeks. So let's take the About Face blush. This one's in the shade Smash. So I want the color to sort of mimic the eye a little bit. I think that will be pretty. So I'm going to take a little bit of that and kind of concentrate. Yes, that's what we needed. Just a little, just to tie everything in with the shadow. Okay, so I have a new lipstick that I'm so excited about, you guys. This is a Westman Atelier lipstick. They came out with a new shade called Petal. So their lipsticks are very long lasting. They're smoothing. Even when you eat, it's still pretty much on the lip. High quality packaging that's magnetic, and it even says Westman Atelier embossed in the cap, and then the inside of the cap is actually a mirror that you really can see in and apply your lipstick with the mirror that's in here. So it's pretty cool. I said that because it's expensive. So I had to give you guys the pros of the lipstick, but the cons is that it's kind of expensive. But not only do I like this lipstick formula, but I picked up this specific shade because this may be a contender for our wedding lip shade. So I'm not sure if it'll be perfect for this look, but I definitely want to try it out. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, definitely need a liner with it. This is what it looks like on the swatch. They feel really soft and comfortable, almost pillowy on the lip. This one's Bite Me from Morphe. Pretty soft everyday lip. I'm gonna go back in with Partition because the sheen, the luminosity of the foundation keeps peeking through. Or maybe it's the primer, but let's take a little bit more and really set that in. So let's add our Anastasia lip gloss. This one's in the shade Venus. It's like a glittery shade. Let's add this on top and see what it looks like. So Urban Decay sent over these travel size sprays. One is, I believe this is the regular all-nighter spray, 16 hours of wear, and this is the all-nighter ultra matte, and this one gives 16 hours of wear too. So I have this one. I like it. I know what it gives. So let's try the ultra matte and see what it does, especially since we know we have this foundation formula that gets a little bit more luminous. Let's see how ultra matte it gets. So this is the final look. I'll update you guys on the wear in the description box. But one thing I do want to note is in my pore area, I still see like pores. It's not super smooth right there, but on this side it is. So maybe I need to pack in the primer a little bit more in that area. So I'm going to use this primer one more time after this so that I can really give you guys an update on the Sephora collection primer. Other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Check the description box if you want to see how it wears. All of the products that I used today, I'll have also linked in the description box as well as right there on that YouTube shopping tab. So be sure to check that out. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Ariell. I'd love for you to come join the family by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. 'Cause I've been where you are. You're too scared to show me love. 'Cause too fresh with the scars.